Hello everybody and welcome to my submission video for Tetris the Grandmaster 1 for Summer Games Done Quick 2017. Tetris the Grandmaster was a series of arcade games released in Japan in the late 90s and early 2000s. After they were shown at Awesome Games Done Quick 2015 and the success that it had, quite a few players joined the community, including myself. The run that I will be showing in this video is a standard time attack to the Grandmaster grade in Tetris the Grandmaster 1. The requirements in-game to get Grandmaster require you to just finish the game in less than 13 minutes and 30 seconds, but I actually cleared this game in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. This is my personal best. And I do have to apologize for the video quality. I was actually streaming when I recorded this video and was having a few problems with my internet connection, so I had to lower my bitrate. Thankfully, you're just watching blocks. So, jumping right into the gameplay, the first thing you may notice is that I am actually stacked very high right now, and I don't need to be. This is actually a time attack technique. Because Tetris the Grandmaster 1 does not include a sonic drop or a hard drop, which instantly drops the pieces to the bottom of the playfield, you have to slowly drop them yourself by holding down in what's referred to as a soft drop. Now, soft drop is pretty efficient, but also slightly inefficient on time, so the best thing to do is to stack up near the top so you spend less time soft dropping overall. Now, drawing your attention to the left side of my playfield, you'll notice there is a level counter. The level counter is probably the most important stat to watch in this game. That basically shows you where I'm at in the game. So this game actually ends when you reach and clear a line at level 999. Levels go up for every piece that's dropped and every line that is cleared. As you progress further into the game and get to higher and higher levels, the gravity will actually increase. So the gravity that I'm dealing with right now is not the same gravity that I was dealing with at level 100 or level 50 or at the very start of the game. And it's only going to get faster until level 500 where the gravity tops out. I consider myself to be a better high gravity player than the low gravity player, so these first few sections are actually somewhat difficult for me. This is in pretty stark contrast to, say, someone like Enchantress of Numbers, who has run Tetris the Grandmaster 1 at Summer Games Done Quick 2016. She is much better at the low gravity sections than I am. Now, when you reach level 200, there's actually a brief reset in the gravity where it goes back to basically what it's at the start of the game. What you really want to do is actually be stacked near the top in this section because you won't get the extra frames of time saved that you normally would in, say, the 100 section where the pieces are falling a little bit faster. I actually made quite a big mistake by going into level 200 with a lower stack. But as you get into the second half of the 200s, the gravity starts to ramp up even higher than before. In fact, it's in the level 200 sections where the gravity becomes so high that soft dropping is actually no longer efficient. Now, as you get into these higher gravity sections, you will have to employ a technique that's known as man locking or manual locking. So basically, when the pieces hit the other pieces in the stack in this game, they don't immediately lock into place like they would in, say, Game Boy or NES Tetris. There's actually something referred to as lock delay, which in this game is always 30 frames or half a second. This gives you time to move your pieces around after they've touched the bottom and is incredibly useful. But what this also means is that there's about half a second being wasted for every single piece. Manually locking allows you to eliminate those extra frames that you don't need to place the piece. Now, progressing onward in the game, I have finally reached the 300 section, and the 300 to 500 section is generally referred to as awkward gravity by the community. It's because in this section, you can still put your pieces almost anywhere you want to, but there are a few places that are just quite out of reach. And every once in a while, you may not be expecting it, and you may happen to misplace something, and it can be catastrophic at times. As you can see, I actually have made quite a few mistakes in this section myself. It's very obvious from looking at my stack. This is, once again, because of how awkward the gravity is, and sometimes you just make mistakes thinking that you were doing the right thing, but it turns out that you were actually just slightly off. I would say the majority of runs are actually ended in the 300 to 500 section. Now, if you look at the level counter, you'll actually notice that it's stopped at 399 for a moment, despite the fact that new pieces are coming into play. This is what is referred to as a level stop. In order to progress to the next, 100 section, you need to clear a line at the end of every single section. So the game will actually stop counting levels at level 99. What you need to do is pay attention to the level counter and make sure that you're able to clear a line as you go into 99. Otherwise, you're literally just wasting time, which, as a time attacker, is straight up awful. Now, in Tetris the Grandmaster 1, the line clear animation takes the same amount of time and a decent amount of time regardless of how many lines you clear, be it 1 or 4. What this means is that if you're able to clear 4 lines at once, it's much more time attack efficient to do than to clear, a bunch of doubles or especially a bunch of singles. In fact, avoiding singles is the easiest way to improve your time in Tetris the Grandmaster 1. You'll notice during this run that I oftentimes could clear a lot of singles and it would probably make my life quote-unquote easier, but instead I'll go to, say, clear doubles, or I'll stack up a little bit and try to do what we call a recovery Tetris. These are all very advanced time attack techniques. Now, as we reach level 500, the gravity tops out. At this point, we are in what we refer to as 20G, or instant gravity. This means that the pieces no longer fall from the top as they do in a traditional Tetris game. They actually spawn right in the bottom middle of the stack, and you have to use the aforementioned lock delay in order to place them. So you basically only have half a second per piece at this point in the game. While it may sound more difficult than low gravity, I actually prefer to play in 20G because you can actually play so much faster in this part of the game. Basically, because you don't have to wait for the pieces to fall and don't have to worry about efficiently placing them, you can just move your piece into place, lock it in, move the next piece into place, lock it in, move lock, move lock, move lock. In fact, I would say my locking speed is probably my greatest strength in terms of TGM compared to other players. Of course, it isn't just as simple as moving a piece into place and locking it. You also do need to be stacking efficiently in order to eliminate the number of singles and basically line clear animations in general that you're going to put up in this game. One of the biggest differences between 20G and lower gravity is that you actually have to build your stack in a way that gives you mobility for your pieces. What we refer to as pyramid stacking basically means making the center where the pieces spawn the highest point of the stack. If the complete center, column 5, is the highest point in the stack, you will be able to move your piece into any column in the playfield. Now, you may have noticed that I just did something really cool looking with the O block, or the square piece. Being in instant gravity also allows you to do what we refer to as overhangs. Overhangs are a pretty advanced technique, but they are probably one of the most cool looking techniques. Basically, if you don't have a good placement for a piece, you can create an overhang, put it in a place that'll leave, some hole or another underneath it that you can actually move or rotate another piece into later. These are pretty advanced stacking techniques, and I will admit my overhangs are not as good as some other players. Specifically, some people like QLex, who has run Death Mode at GDQ events before, have insane overhangs and do some wild stuff to make sure that their stack stays in very good working order. Now, this submission is actually for a larger group of submissions. We want to do an 8-player race at Summer Games Done Quick in this game. Because this is an arcade game, 2 players can actually play at the same time simultaneously, so we would have 4 boards put together for 8 players to race this game. It's very exciting to watch a Grandmaster race, especially because we have a very wide variety of skill levels and, I guess, skill sets among the group of players that are submitting. The race would include players such as Kevin DDR, the basically face of the Tetris Grandmaster scene in the West, as well as players like Pucci.exe, who's known for doing things like the blindfolded Sakura run at previous GDQ events. Pucci is really cool in that he's actually a very consistent player, though not a very fast player. He's actually so marathon safe that he was actually able to go to Japan and win a tournament. Now, what I'm doing now is actually a pretty good example of both pyramid stacking. You may have just spotted that I did another overhang, and I'm actually about to do something that would normally be kind of cool, but I actually make a mistake. So that eyepiece that I just placed, that's what we refer to as a synchro. It's actually a frame-perfect rotation, and I accidentally did a frame-perfect rotation there, and what the frame-perfect rotations allow you to do is both move a piece and rotate a piece on the same frame. Basically, it allows you to jump over holes as you rotate stuff. Now, that synchro was actually a very large mistake, and as you can see, I'm still kind of paying for it, and I'm clearing way too many singles. Unfortunately, if that was the biggest mistake I made this run, I can be okay with that. Recovery is actually a very important skill in the Tetris the Grandmaster games, because even if you aren't going to, say, misdrop, you may get screwed by the randomizer once in a while, particularly in Tetris the Grandmaster 1, where the randomizer doesn't look as far into the history before rolling a piece and giving you a different amount of weight on which pieces you might get than the other games. In Tetris the Grandmaster 1, it only looks 4 pieces into the history compared to 6 in Tetris the Grandmaster 2. This can result in you being droughted on pieces for several pieces in a row, and also being flooded with pieces. I've gotten, I want to say, at least 3 in a row for sure. Now, as we get into the 900 section, we are reaching the end of this run. This game will end at 999. The game will level stop at 998, and I'll have to clear a line before I can actually finish the game and be awarded the grade of Grandmaster. I've gotten all the small requirements that exist throughout the game, and I've already cleared the final score requirement required to get Grandmaster, which is 126,000 points. As you start to reach the very end of the game, you're going to want to clear the game with a low stack. Because clearing lines allows you to get extra levels that you wouldn't get just from placing pieces, you want to clear as much down as possible as you finish the game. And there it is, the Grandmaster grade. Now the credits will roll. In this particular version of Tetris the Grandmaster, the credits don't mean absolutely anything. You can just continue to play through them, and most players do. It's kind of a victory lap of sorts. But in the other games, the credit roll is actually very, very important. So as these credits roll, I would just like to say thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope to see you at Summer Games Done Quick.